The producer. I think it's live. It says broadcast live.
All right, we are live. Welcome to today's episode of Market Check, guys. We're having some interesting little fun on the back end. I have the YouTube up. Yeah, welcome to today's episode of Market Check. We had some fun on the back end. I'm running the broadcast stuff today while some teammates are a little busy, but we're gonna have a great show anyway. I know that Wabi and Tucker are gonna be able to join us later on stream as well. But yeah, no, I hope you guys have all had a phenomenal day, a wonderful week so far. It is hump day officially. So we are officially headed towards the back half of the work week. Yeah, and no shortage of things to talk about in financial markets, even though, it's a low volatility period, right? We still have a ton of shenanigans going on in the crypto market in the form of all this turmoil still playing out within DeFi. Bitcoin squeezing up 1,600 points in the span of one afternoon, wiping off just on Bybit 40 million in shorts, notionally speaking. So gnarly squeeze for these type of conditions. I mean, it's pretty rare that you see that much open interest come off from one exchange, not named Binance, from just one move. So definitely something that Will and I are going to talk about on this show. Was it a squeeze, and then the type of thing that's going to lead to continuation into that next high that that we've mentioned before, or is it going to be one of those things where it's a squeeze that patters out and continues the bleed, kind of what we've seen on a few downtrends earlier this year already. Some RSI divs I know we got yesterday from a bullish standpoint. I don't know if those ever locked in, but there was definitely some reason to be bullish on Bitcoin last night. It's still kind of TBD how deep necessarily this pullback from this squeeze is going to go. But yeah, I mean, bears got eviscerated last night. Or really more so yesterday in general. Tuesday is always the day for mean reversion in these markets. In these low volatility conditions, it's become this trend, right, where we have a volatile move on Monday. People rush into to trade that what they're hoping is going to be a trend. But in reality, what ends up happening is we just get mean reversion. It's a product of people shorting volatility, right? When you have a move away from the mean, that could represent an expansion in volatility. So when you're shorting volatility, you are essentially betting on it to go back to the mean, which is what we're seeing on all of these dumps early in the week. Get a dump on Monday, and then on Tuesday, nicknamed Tuesday by some options traders on CT, we revert right back to where we started. And then I know, Will, you said this on the GigaChad call yesterday. We get really more of a telling move as far as directionality for the week, the true move of the week, right, on a Wednesday or a Thursday. So really hoping for some clarity, I think, over the next 48 hours on Bitcoin. I'm sure it's not necessarily helped by the fact that the CRV situation is still an overhang on the market. The impact of it is kind of TBD, right? And from what I can understand, it's essentially, the type of situation where, yes, he could avoid liquidation, but a lot of that is going to come down to kind of the benevolence of the people who are buying CRV from him over the counter in order to, kind of reduce his exposure, and as a byproduct, their exposure to some of this risk. So that's going to play a big role, obviously, in seeing what Bitcoin does, I think, as well, and especially ETH USD. But let's look at stocks. What are stocks got for us? Yeah, equities are down today, guys. I do think that's pretty interesting, especially after, last week we talked about July op. Was it last week? I think it was 2 weeks ago. We talked about July OPEX. Potentially being the type of event that could lead to downside in equities. And if equities blink even slightly, then crypto is definitely going to see some material downside. So I want to get into all of that and more. I'm going to give the opening floor to Will here after I'm done speaking, and the charting floor as well, because we're going to be digging into a lot of tickers today. Good morning to everybody, by the way. We hope you enjoy the content, and don't forget to like and subscribe if this is your first time to the channel. But I'm going to open the floor to Will, and I'm also going to add the chart to the stream. You got the floor, man. What are you seeing in the markets?
Yeah,
What
I
are
mean,
you thinking
yesterday
on?
was interesting, especially. You can hear me
Sorry,
okay,
bro.
right? Just making sure.
Yeah.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah. No, I just want to make sure. There was a little bit of lag this morning, guys. So we're just kind of trying to work out the kinks and the bumps. Yeah. I mean, as far as markets go, there's quite a bit of volatility yesterday. I mean, actually insane. I think a lot of people are looking at this move kind of in a different way, right? I mean, I look at it in a couple different ways. This is kind of, and arguably, I'd like to see the recapture the value area range low. The interesting thing that I saw yesterday, okay, because I've been trying to see them get above here, right? 29.6, 29.5. But I think arguably this might be the better resistance here because this is kind of where they ranged into and then rejected, right? So when you look at things from that perspective, it's very interesting that liquidity always rebalances before it makes its move. And arguably, I would say we came up, we retested, and we rejected. Kind of signifying there could be more downside to come. But at the same time, we're still holding levels on body candles and continuing to kind of hold the range of liquidity here. For me, when I look at Bitcoin, I'm just looking at it like this. This is the first instance of life that I've seen in almost a week. So it's great. It feels great. It's like being dead for a whole week and then finally getting some vitality out of it. I love the sweep of the lows, the really bearish sentiment move here into a very predatory pump, right? And that pump moved up and moved up with pretty much really good force. Arguably, one thing I would say too is don't fade the highs here because like you are in a sense kind of pushing through what I would consider level liquidity, right? So you had a really good amount of I would arguably resistance right here in this area, and they came up, hit that wick high, and then kind of pulled back underneath of it, and then rolled out and pushed and shoved through, right? So for me, the way I usually look at this is I look at it like, okay, they're clearing shorts, right? They're clearing sellers out of areas to the upside. Granted, they don't want to just come in with full force here. They want to just kind of clear things out. All shorts, in a sense, are clear. Am I lagging a little bit there, or am I good? I feel like I'm lagging a little bit. Yeah, you're muted.
No, you're good. I realized I was speaking on a muted mic, but I'm reading the comment section and laughing right now. Tucker said that it's over. Will, do you have any thoughts?
I mean, you really have to show proof that it's over, right? And from a body candle standpoint, arguably, I'd say there's no proof that it's over. Yeah. Interesting comment. Interesting comment.
Bitcoin's holding on.
It's holding on. Again, we're still fluttering the floor here. I mean, we're above it. We could very well come into this range. A lot of people start shorting again here, looking for a recapture of this wick, and the market pushes against you again, right? And really, I think these moves are only going to get more predatory. And it appears to me that they're getting predatory this direction, right? They're not really getting predatory this direction. These are kind of seen ahead of time that you're going to push into these lows. And arguably, I would say, look at this low right here, right? Look at this low right here. And then look, if you look, they pumped up, right? They pumped up. They pulled back. And really, this could get a little more predatory if they wanted to. And then from here, they just shot up, right? So like I wouldn't fade this move, man. I really wouldn't. They did a very similar move here as what I'm talking about structurally here. And they can continue to keep playing people to the upside, even if the move is over and we're not going to see higher highs. This could get very predatory, just like it was over here. I mean, what's your thoughts on that there?
The comments are Max and Tucker are making me laugh in the comments. I am kind of torn on it, Will, because I see the side that you're saying that the predatory moves are coming to the upside, right? And I've kind of talked about volatility in the sense that we've gotten the biggest spikes in Bitcoin volatility, like the reading when prices moved higher, historically speaking. So right now, all the downside vol has been very, very muted. So I think that's probably the number one thing working in the favor of bulls right now is that bears thus far have been unable to create a super volatile event to the downside. That doesn't mean that it can't happen, but so far they have not proven to be able to do so. So we have to continue to work off that information until it changes. I wanted to ask your opinion, Will, about how you're viewing Bitcoin through the lens of the S&P, because we are getting a decent pullback today, over 1%, and the VIX looks very bullish. In addition to kind of some of the Forex metrics that we were talking about last week, like the dollar strength, the euro showing weakness. So what are your thoughts here with the S&P? I mean, it's essentially been an up-only mode for the last few weeks, the entire year, let's be honest. It's been in up-only mode. So is this a pullback area or is this a double top? If I were Tucker, I'd load the bear meme onto the chart right now.
Yeah, I mean, I would arguably say this is a pullback until it's not, right? What I mean by that is, we've seen in here very, I would say time and time again, 1, 2, and now we're getting another one here. I would say these pullbacks are pretty predatory, right? And really the reality is here, unless we can get a second monthly close, weekly close on the higher time frames, I wouldn't be very bearish, right? I would want to see a consecutive move to the directionality of where I think price is going. And if I see consecutive weeks pushing into downside, from there I would take that as, we're probably trend reversing into a next support, right? And where would that support be? Well, I've kind of outlined it right here, where I think the support would be, as far as a higher liquidity, higher time frame standpoint. This is a really strong liquidity zone if price were to move into it. You can see right here, you've got support. You got resistance right here. But I think if we got a second week move into it, it would be somewhere I'd be watching. Where would I look for price to go from here at the most? I mean, as far as my opinion, I think like that's kind of where I think price will kind of move into if it wants to. This price area right here, and some people may be looking a little bit higher if you're looking at shorter time frames, and that would be somewhere up here. So there's a couple different areas that I'd be watching. I wouldn't like to really see a retest of here, but again, we already saw it right here. Basically where price moved into that area, pulled off, and then bounced off of, right? And we could very well see price do the same thing here. If it moves into this area, people get super bearish. They start shorting here, start putting in puts, and you see price move off of again, right? And then it finally gets that last final, what I think arguably would be that capitulation move to the upside, that recapture, that double top, and that would trap liquidity, right? It would trap liquidity. People would be max long here. And then you could put off of that and roll it back again before you actually see the true move, right? If it's going to continue to the upside, right? If it's going to trend reversal, it's going to violate this area right here, in my perspective.
That stochastic RSI does look a little bit concerning. As far as if you're bullish.
Yeah, well, stochastic's been way over. Yeah,
it is overextended for sure.
Even RSI.
A long time ago, I remember somebody on Market Check talking about the possibility of what about, this is back when we were at like the 4,200 resistance, when it was impenetrable, the meme that we would never break it, yada, yada, yada. And I remember he posed the idea, like, what if we just melt up through this resistance, melt up towards like even 4,500, 4,600, and then when we pull back, we're retesting that strength. I mean, I feel like, when you zoom out, you can see very, very clearly where trapped sellers are and where that accumulation period was. So I feel like from a bullish standpoint, if you do get a pullback, you have a very like straightforward invalidation in the sense we probably shouldn't be trading back into this accumulation range, right? I feel like that's a pretty healthy way to view stocks. And even then, I mean, look at all the tops that we put in previously. I'm not trying to call a top on equities right now, guys, by the way. Let me just be clear when I'm saying that. I'm suggesting that when equities do top, it will be a multi-week process, probably a multi-month process, just because you look at how explosive this move higher has been. There's just too much distribution that has to occur before we just literally U-turn. And institutions will buy in order to sell higher in these distribution phases, right? They'll bait retail into continually buying the highs. We see it in crypto all the time. Not saying that this is where distribution is going to occur, but when it does, that's how it's going to function.
Yeah,
But
I
so
would say
far,
too, to kind of add to that. Yeah. I would say to add to that too, Tommy. A lot of people, they always think of it like this, right? Or they think of it like this, but that's not how markets tend to move. They tend to move directionally more in a curvature type move, right? So like your accumulation distribution happens over a period of time, a long period of time. So if you start to see a distributive top, I think it's a lot more identifiable than what a lot of people think it is, right? A lot of people ignore it because they continue to see drive, but if drive continues to round out, you're in a distributive area, right? You just have to pay attention to the higher time frames to really look for that distribution. And if you start to catch that distribution, you need to understand which side of the trade you're on, right? Just like down here, a lot of people looked at this and they were like, okay, it's going to go deeper. But you started to round out. Where did that round out start to occur? Well, it started to occur in your higher lows, right? So when you started to form those higher lows, you needed to identify that trend and understand that, hey, this direction is moving this way now. So we've already started to accumulate this entire zone. I need to start positioning for this accumulation breakout, right? And really, yes, you could have caught quite a bit if you'd have caught the low here, but you were really guessing, right? If you bought here, right. You were really, really guessing. Why were you guessing? You tested liquidity, I agree, right? But you never knew where this thing was actually going to reverse until you got your first higher low, right? And then once you got your first higher low, then you came into a double bottom here, better confirmation, right? Not always going to happen, by the way, but better confirmation. If you didn't believe it here, you should have believed it here. And then once you started reverse here, you could have even bought here, and this was the meat of the move right there. That's where you wanted your entry before this occurred right here. A lot of people think you have to buy this. No, you don't have to buy this. You just have to be able to identify what's going on here and be able to take positions against what is going on in that price area. That's really how you capitalize on these moves. I mean, you could even leverage this position as far as calls them to the upside.
There were probably a lot of people that bought in that.
There's a little lag between us. You go ahead, Tommy.
I was just going to say there were probably a lot of people. This is why I hate catching knives. There were probably a lot of people who bought with conviction in that accumulation range that ended up puking through the chop, just because they weren't patient in the sense that they didn't wait for the shift, right? Like you said, Will, in hindsight, it's very clean looking at the high time frame, right? You can clearly see the market structure shift with the higher lows. And price begin to start trending up. But if you had just tried to blindly catch a knife, I mean, say you had just bought that first huge dip, you caught a big rip and you're thinking, all right, I caught the low, I'm going to keep holding. And then you retrace all of it, and it trades below your entry. You panic, you puke the bottom, you miss the whole move. I am sure there were a lot of people like that. I hate the idea of knife catching, guys, for exactly that reason. You can't be sure. And confirmation is kind of a meme in itself as well, but at a certain point, you need to play higher probability odds, especially, I mean, if you're trying to pick a reversal of a high time frame trend, I am very big on the proponent that you should, look for high probability reversals. But Will, we have some people in the comments looking for, some commentary, I think, on the DXY, the VIX, and maybe even the Euro. Let's take a look at those markets, because it seems like it looks like the dollar is kind of up only this morning. And meanwhile, the VIX looks like it may be breaking out as well, adding fuel possibly to this equity fire. I think this is the last week for either this week or until next week's Wednesday is officially our window of weakness for equities. So this is kind of the chance for bears to get anything done if they're going to.
I will say this. One thing that is interesting here is, like we said, you can shift out of the range, but if you shift back into the range, you need to be able to identify that. And I do believe the dollar has shifted back into the range, and not only done it, it's closed above it and pushed through with force, right? So definitely interesting move by the dollar. I would also say don't necessarily ignore the highs here either, right? You need to validate these highs up here, and if you're not able to validate highs, aka get above this, you could really reject here and come back down again and continue to form this channel here, right?
Will become bearish.
Thank you, Maxwell.
That's funny. But I would say, arguably, even to Maxwell's comment, I mean, the bearish scenario here would be, you've got basically a bull flag playing out on the dollar, in my opinion, right? So you're continuing to trend lower, but you're also continuing to hold the range here, right? And again, I think this kind of lines up with that thesis that if you can recapture above this resistance, you're looking for upside on the dollar at that point. And what does that say about the dollar? Does that say inflation? Does that say capital's moving to cash? Like, what does that say about the dollar as a whole?
Yeah,
and I think that, as long as you're paying attention to that, that's something you can get into. Go ahead.
Isn't late stage, towards the recession, the dollar will be free falling with equities and stocks, like in unison. Yeah. And the only safe haven is bonds, I want to say, in that case. Maybe. That's how I understand it. Though that was one scammy weekly close on the dollar, man. Looking at it right now, that bottom, oh my God.
Yep.
That is
a
very,
very
wow.
Yeah, it's a pretty crazy move here on the dollar overall. Again, I would arguably say that there is a bull case here for the dollar, but it doesn't mean that everything's going to sell off immediately either. I would just say identify the trend. If you get the breakout of the trend, you get above this value area. What I'd be looking for is anything above 104, right? 104 on a weekly close. We get above that, dollars pushing up, 100% dollars pushing up. I have no doubt from there, dollars pushing up. Just be careful of a deviation, right? You don't want to see that push up into there, and then you don't want to see it come back into this channel, right? Because that could be actually very bearish for the dollar. It could have been a trap at that point. So you need a couple week confirmation above the 104 zone. You get a couple week confirmation above the 104 zone. I would say bearish assets, bullish dollar. But if you arguably, deviate above here and then the next week you're right back in the channel, I would say bullish assets, bearish dollar. So
this
feels and the traps they've been malicious.
Oh, sorry. Now there's just a bit of a lag when I speak. Go for it, Will.
Yeah, you're good.
I was just gonna say the dollar is showing strength, but it hasn't broken out yet. If we get a fake breakout, that is gonna nuke the dollar. I think that would nuke the dollar if it fakes a breakout and deviates support. I would definitely be bullish assets in that case.
Yeah, and that doesn't even have to mean that you're gonna be like, all right, I'm gonna buy access until the bottom of the channel, because the reality is if you deviate up here, you're more than likely gonna violate this low, and you're gonna probably break down. That would be I would be the opinion of that move. Overall, I do want to point this out too, because I think a lot of people haven't paid attention to the bigger trend here. This is a trend since '08, right? And this has been the trend of the dollar since '08. It tends to come back to this price area right here and wants to always revisit this trend. So I would keep an eye on that too, because if you do get a deviation, you can see right here, I've actually been bullish dollar. I've been in that camp for quite a while, but I could be completely raw sides on this, and this could be a breakdown before a breakout, right? And if that occurs, you're going to be on the wrong side of the trade if you're not in assets, I would say, arguably. But the trend's been there. It's been very obvious. I would say, like, if you're going to break down, like, your low end range is 95 cents. That's as low as I'd expect for any type of dollar breakdown. And then from there we'd probably see a big old ripper into the next market. That'll probably signal this will definitely, if we get down in this trend line, in my opinion, this will signal your top, right? It'll signal your top on all assets across the board. It did the same thing with Bitcoin over here. Look, in 21, this is exactly what I was looking for in 21. I was like, all right, W formation, right? Easy play here. Easy play. W formation, right? I was like, as soon as you get above here, all crypto screwed. What do we do? We started playing the line. Boom, breakout right there. Look, December, guys. It told you in December, get out of everything in crypto. Got the pullback. That's your little ripper into January, right? Everybody got super bullish in January. And then boom, everybody got slaughtered through 2022. And it continued to just push and push and push and push. And now we've kind of fallen into this falling channel. Now this is a very bullish pattern. Not everybody plays patterns. I do. But this is a very bullish pattern in my opinion. And I was expecting a breakout somewhere around here. Obviously a breakdown further, but it's still continuing to follow trend. So not trying to be super bearish on assets, but this is definitely something that could play out. Now, if we get into another bull run scenario, I do want to entertain this too. This channel could just stay stable going into the bull run until it hits trend, right? And then once it hits, it doesn't have to nuke, and it doesn't have to break out. And then once it hits trend, then it breaks out, and that's the end of your bull market for crypto. Yeah. So entertain. There's a couple different theses for that.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing working in favor of the bulls is that it's the first week of the month. So we could be putting in some monthly wicks in hindsight, but definitely a strong move on the dollar regardless. What are we thinking about the VIX? And then we can go over into some more granular plays, maybe some altcoins, some individual stocks. Yeah, we do have 26 people watching, by the way, guys. If you are enjoying the content and you enjoy just hanging out with us, hanging out, watching charts, watching us talk markets, we love when you hit the like and subscribe button. Love to run the stops at 20 likes, as is tradition. I think we're sitting at about 14 or 15 right now. So we appreciate you guys for spending your Wednesday morning with us, and we hope you're enjoying the content.
Yeah, this has kind of been my my thesis on the VIX, and again, this is on a monthly. Like, this is not a hard trend to identify, guys. Like, it's so simple, right? So simple. Look, you got downtrend, uptrend, downtrend, uptrend, downtrend, uptrend, and arguably I'd say we're on the downtrend side, right? Again, for markets. Now, these downtrends can be extended. You can see here 08 all the way into what? 2017, right? This just means volatility overall is going to continue to trend down. It means, though, here's the bull case, and I do want to point this out. It does mean that assets have probably reached a local bottom, right? Arguably, these tend to trend from the highest positions in the chart, right? So you got your high end over here. You had a double high end, right? Over here, you had a high end. And arguably, I would say this was the high end of this side, right? So we could play into the trend of maybe something up here, but the case is for volatility to continue to fall until it hits a low, like it always has, which arguably would be right here in this zone, which is around 9.94, I'd say, in the 10 zone, right? That's where you kind of look like, okay, this thing's going to start trending back this way, and volatility is going to start getting more crazy. And arguably, when you start to get on this side of the trade, you're going to get that big bull market, right? But you're also going to get that wreckage that comes with that big bull market. So then your volatility comes back down. But this is a multi-year bull. When these things end up kind of bottoming here, I would say you're in a multi-year bull to the upside for assets for VIX.
It does look like the higher time frame trend. It does look like the higher time frame trend on the VIX is lower. I do feel like it sets up very nicely for a dramatic move lower, maybe more so in Bitcoin than equities in August, into maybe a even more dramatic move to the upside to end the year. That's kind of been my theory for the last few months, my hope. But if things, I mean, we know how these periods of downside can go. It can be a bit of a fragile market at times. There's not a lot of liquidity. We wouldn't want things to pull back too deep to where market structure breaks and then that the trend has shifted. That would definitely not be fun. But I also don't really expect anything like that to happen yet, even though I'm personally bearish here locally on assets. A lot of that has to do with what we're seeing in Forex markets. And I couldn't really explain it. Hopefully when Tucker gets on the show later, we can talk a little bit more about the bond market, because I think I was reading it's in complete turmoil right now. If you have any commentary on that, Will, I guess something to do with yields
on the bond market. Yeah. I mean,
so what's the situation?
There's some serious wreckage here.
Oh, yikes. I think we were talking about
that's
buying.
Kind of what I'm looking at. Yeah, I've got it at 89. Now, the reason I have 89 is because I looked at previous price over here. And I think this is a solid floor for price to rest on. Now, arguably, yes, 87 could be in the cards, right? And that would just be us retesting the lows of the position down here. But I usually look for the meat of the move, which is where the candles lie the most. I don't look for the tips, because I think if you're tip diving, you're basically coming in here and you're trying to bottom tick, right? And if you're bottom ticking, you're on the wrong side of the trade already. More often than not, by the time it gets to here, somebody's already scalped you out, right? You're not going to reach it by the time you set up some kind of buy or some kind of call or some kind of put in those tip dive moves. Same thing with the highs, right? You never want to go to the tippy top high. You want to kind of bring your price back into reality and maybe drop it down about 10% from the high or 5% from the high and TP from there, versus trying to bottom tick, top tick. So I look for where price lies the most. I think it lies the most in here in the 89.70. So arguably 90 is where I'd be looking for a TLT to kind of roll into. This is something I was looking for the structure break that occurred right here. And really, I identified the structure break right here when you started getting body candle closes lower, right? You got the pump up, you got the move, and you got the rejection. You've got a clear trend rejection right here. You're basically, in my opinion, in a puke position, right? You're basically puking here. So to be able to identify the puke here, I think not difficult at all. Something very similar happened up here that a lot of people missed the move on. Now, do I think that this reoccurs here? No, I don't think the whole meat of the move reoccurs here, but I do think the market's going to puke. And I think it's going to puke into support, and I think that support's around this area right here. Like I said, it could be a little lower, it could be a little bit higher. This is where I'd be looking for price to continue to push into this area. If price at any point comes up and violates this trend, I think you're looking at a trend reversal from there, and you're going to start forming higher lows, right? So that's something else to watch out for. If you do look like you're going to puke down and you're just Sorry, guys, a little bit of lag between us.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say the momentum looks like I mean, it looks terrible. Like it looks like it's gonna take a while for it to, like, it won't just U-turn out of that low. So I think you'll have maybe at least a few weeks to be able to buy that. Probably like 2 or 3 weeks if I had to guess. But once those lows broke, it was over, man. I mean, this thing, if this does not trade 89 or 87, like in that vicinity, I would be very shocked.
But you want to know my thoughts on this part, Tommy?
What are you thinking?
So my thoughts are: is this thing trends down to a lower low, and this actually pulls off a bull div, right? And I'm going to continue to watch for it, but maybe something like that, somewhere's in there. But that's my thoughts with TLT. I think TLT is much closer to a bottom than people think, which is actually bearish for assets, by the way. So when we get down into these areas, I think there's a good chance
Hey, we got big tuck in. Let's go.
We break out from there.
It's over, man.
Tucker wants to come in with a bear case. He's like, bear time.
Talking about the turmoil.
You want to take the screen there, Tucker?
Oh, talking about bond market turmoil.
That's what's going on right now, right?
Yeah, that is what's going on right now. Oh man, oh man. Man, oh man. I guess my signal was wrong. Hang on. Where's my oh, it's not on there.
Well, you were saying there was a big bull div. Are you trying to say if that plays out, it'll bounce really aggressively from the lows?
Damn it. He was right.
Yeah. The argument for me is that if we end up right, it's if we end up forming a lower low, I would expect the bull div to play there and for those things to bounce really hard, really aggressively. Which you would not want to be in assets if that happens, because you're going to get annihilated.
What the hell is this? Where's the regular RSI, man? What is this?
At least in the short term, right? I do want to point that out. At least in the short term, you'll get annihilated by that move.
Okay.
The last time we had some turmoil in the bond market, I want to say it was in March. Yeah, it was March. During that whole, it's kind of hard to believe that we had that little banking fiasco that long ago, but it was in March.
Yeah, let's pick the move.
And you know what that little fiasco led to? It basically led to, unofficially official QE, right? So
stealth QE.
Stealth QE, I like that.
Yeah.
Bullish market, stealth QE.
Is this truck bullish, Will?
Everybody always tends to forget the stealth QE that comes in every time to save the market.
Yeah, let's do it.
Average.
Let's do it. It's time.
What is that, Tucker?
It's the MOVE index. It measures bond market volatility. This was March.
Man.
I don't know, man. I think that thing gets violated. I really do.
What?
The higher look at hold on, run a line across the higher lows or lower highs on the right side of that.
What, that?
The highs.
This?
No, other highs. Nope.
These?
Yep. Now go the other side. Now run the other side.
What?
The steep drop off highs. To the right.
These?
No.
Oh, those.
Yes, those. There you go.
That.
Oh, look at that. Look at where we're heading.
She'll get up there, Will. She'll get up there.
That's your rejection right there, man.
No. What do you mean?
Look, that's a gigantic bear flag, bro. That is a gigantic bear flag.
How is this a bear flag?
It's running to the upside, and it's staying contained.
But What? You mean a bull flag?
No, bull flags drop.
I know. I don't know, man. I don't
That's
know.
running up.
You mean?
No, I mean the whole move. What you have outlined right there. What you have outlined right there.
Yeah. You saying this is a bear flag?
Yeah, you're moving to the upside. Higher lows, higher highs, contain price.
Yeah, but you came into it going up.
Mm-hmm. And then you dropped down and you got caught, and then you came up and you rejected, and you dropped down, you got caught, and then you came up, you rejected, and it's contained price to the upside.
That's a bear flag.
Yeah. A reversal move can also occur off of a push up.
I mean, if bond market volatility comes down, it will be supportive for equities for sure. But
yeah, I would arguably say,
I mean,
maybe the 70. If you were to draw a line straight across 70 there, that's probably where you come down to.
The people in the chat, I'm dead.
Where's the poll?
It's a reversal move. All right.
All right, but you can't call it a bear flag though, because a bear flag it comes into it down.
I get it. Yeah, but it's a reversal move regardless. It's a build to the upside, contain price.
Okay.
How you guys are doing TA on
I know. I was about to say.
I'm just saying, bro. Look over on the left. Exactly where you have it right there. See that big spike you have over there on the left? And then you start to build back down toward the low. Yeah, that's exactly what's occurring.
All right, I think
you already got your spike.
Then I think we're here. We haven't set the lower high yet. I don't think.
Yeah, we could very likely come back up and revisit that left hand side. Yeah, I do agree with that. But what I'm saying is that this is a distributive zone to the downside.
Okay. We definitely should not be charting this though. This is not.
But you get what I'm saying. Yeah. I probably shouldn't have called that bear.
What is this? This just popped up. Wrapped BNB on BSC and USD.
They want you to buy something.
4.
Oh man. Wait, let's
wrapped BNB.
Why am I on LAM? You were looking at this the other day, weren't we? Let's drop on down to the fun time frames. Where's my
This is Bitcoin.
Yeah, there it is. Do I have Monday's range? No, I don't.
Look at that bounce, bro. Look at that bounce.
Look at that.
It's all right. It's all right.
Looks like a higher low to be.
That's a bounce ants. Looks like a downtrend.
Looks like a higher low to be.
Looks like a downtrend.
Oh, man.
I love when the team is on the same side.
I'd be pretty cautious fading max conviction bear timeless being, man. Like I've done that before and it did not end very well for me.
Yeah. What's
that's anecdotal though.
Is Matic getting smacked? Oh, what do you know? What do you know?
Oh, look at that higher low. Interesting. That's 2. Let's see if we can get another one.
I can see. I can see it.
Yeah, there you go.
You know,
all right, let's look at ETH.
ETH?
Hold on. You're charting that, but you missed the other low that was there before the higher low.
Hang on. Where?
Over to the left, where we fell into the low right there. Nope. No. Go to your right a little bit. Up. Right there. So that one right there.
I know. Look. We're doing the same thing. We're doing this, and then eventually.
That already occurred. Yep. And then no, you got the drop. That was your capitulation move. You're starting to build back out of that now.
I don't know, man.
It's all there, man.
It's all there, man.
It's all there.
What do you want to see on ETH?
I want to see if it was doing the same thing, higher lows.
Dude, what is this?
Well, that's
This is
disgusting.
complete
That's disgusting.
AIDS, dude.
This is the problem I have with ETH. Is like there's no pattern that looks bullish, but somehow it just keeps pulling back out of these lows.
That's the
Arguably, you keep coming back into the range. That's it. Like, but there's nothing for me to grasp there that looks
What
bullish.
is KNC?
They're just going to keep farming the yield on ETH staking until some sort of systemic event forces them into a state of pure panic, and then ETH volatility.
Holy hell,
bro!
I guess,
bro.
Daily.
I remember I shorted the top of this coin last year.
Which one's KNC? Is that KuCoin?
No, it's Kyber Network.
Oh, Kyber.
They had like
I'm
80%
not
of the
big on that.
supply in the hands of 2 or 3 market makers, so they were able to just squeeze all of the shorts, man. But they had no exit, so that's why it just literally.
We need the infomercial there, Snorlax, if you could.
The infomercial
On the likes.
Oh yes. Let me see how many likes we're at. We are at 7. We're at 23 likes, guys. Thank you so much for helping us run the range highs. Let's go for all the liquidity though. Let's go for 30 likes if we can. We've got 28 of y'all in here. Would love to get up to 30 if we can. Thanks again for tuning in with us on this Wednesday morning though.
One of those likes was me, by the way.
Nice.
Man.
Good man.
Man.
Ask. What is this?
You know what this is.
Oh, that's Maker.
Yeah, man.
It's up only. That's what it is.
It will be up. It's the up only. I don't even think
You said it will be up.
I don't even think the up only on Maker DAO has started yet.
That argue, I mean, could be a deviation, but it doesn't look bad, man. I like it.
I think we maybe
like
pulled
it.
back into there.
Well,
I think
we
you're-
could get like a scam
yeah.
dump below that high and then send it.
We
I
already.
mean, you've already tested it. Yeah, you already tested it.
Depends on what crypto does. But there's buybacks on Maker like every day. So
Yeah.
not many
These-
tokens that can actually say in crypto there's guaranteed buy pressure like daily and weekly.
You know what's funny? These deviations have been like the craziest this year out of all of them. Like it's just been some crazy deviation predatory moves into like areas where you would think that breakdowns or breakouts were going to occur, and then it just comes right back into the range again every single time. And they just sit there and play it and play it and play it until they decide to make a directional move. And this is where I think a lot of bears and bulls get trapped, right? They get trapped in those movements of those deviations, expecting price to move in a certain direction, and then
Will, what do you think? What do you think of this one? Since Max isn't on the show.
Max,
I like the higher low on the right. It feels like you held the low, you deviated below the low, and then you came back into the value range, right? Really, honestly, I would say you're in the value range on that. So that's very interesting.
We put some RSI on the ladies.
I feel like we should look at Utes and the Yuga Labs,
Wait,
and then the Macy's and the Macy's.
the Macy's.
I love that you just pronounce the whole word like that. The Macy's and the Macy's.
Oh yeah,
Wait, hang on.
yeah.
Do we have any dibs, Will?
Yeah. That is very, very, very. Look, I love deviate. Look. There ain't nothing out there I love more than a bull div. Not a single
clean,
thing, man.
It's
Not a
clean.
single thing. Like bull divs are the easiest plays in the world. Easiest play. Like you see that's basically the retail fading the move altogether. That's what bull divs are.
We got a little.
I can't imagine how many people bought him a lady at like on that Elon wick. Imagine buying him a lady for 8 ETH.
Well, here's the thing: they probably bought on the Elon wick and then capitulated much lower.
Exactly.
I'll be mine for 80. I'll tell you
Down
what.
50% in a day.
Yep. Yeah. It's actually nuts when you think about it when people do that kind of stuff, man.
FOMO is real, Will. It's so real. People have such a desperation in this space to make it.
Yeah.
The way to make it is be ahead of the move, not buy into the move.
They haven't gotten that far yet. You got to let them learn.
What do you guys say about this?
Hey
Eh?
guys, this pumped. Go look at it. Okay. I don't care. Tell me something that's rolling a floor with a bull div, and I'm all in. I like it. Now keep in mind though, Tucker, too, like the biggest thing with those, that breakout move you got right there occurring, is those can come back into the range as long as you're on the same candle. Right.
But wag me, Will. Wag me.
I mean, we can go with wag me, but I can tell you 90% of people didn't wag me in 2021.
That's true. Didn't GMI.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
Didn't MI. Yeah.
Didn't MI, right? They didn't make it. They didn't make it.
In GMI.
Oh,
Wow.
man.
I don't know. I like it. It's the USD one.
When WAGME was created, I want people to understand the WA, we are all, that's only like 5% of people they're speaking of. Just so you guys know. All right. We are all does not include the other 95%. It just includes the 5% that are part of the we are all.
What did the Macy's and the Bases look like, Tucker?
Yeah, let's throw that one up. Basie Wales? Ooh.
We know the
I
ticker.
don't know about that. What's
It
going on
should
there?
just be BAYC wrapped ETH.
Sushi or no?
I'm not sure.
What the no?
That's not.
That's a rug.
There,
That's
so
a rug.
one of my bags. It's so funny. Got like exploited the first day the contract was out. So when you click on when you type it,
Oh,
in,
look, you even got it on there.
This was
when you
already
type on the spot, to load
look
the
at
chart
that.
up, it'll load the old one where it went to 0, and it'll give me a heart attack from time to time.
no
Bro.
way.
Look
Dude,
at that liquidity
Look.
drive right there.
Jeez.
Look,
Wait, is the
nope,
line
nope.
at 0, Tucker?
Yeah, that line.
Yeah, he's got the line. Don't ignore him. Look,
It
look at
looks
support
so
zone.
bad. 0. Let's just
Look
I had
at
no
the
idea.
support zone. No, but here's the thing, Snorlax. Not saying catch a falling knife, but look at that low right there. Look at that low. Where are you at?
If it's
Arguably,
gonna bounce, it has to be from here, man, or it's
it
gonna
has to be from here.
0.
It has to be from here.
It's
Because if
below
you
the
go
box.
deeper, you need to be concerned, right? It has to be from here.
Good lord, man! I actually had a box drawn out of where to buy, and it has now traded into the box, and it traded below it. So
This is where you have to bounce though. You
It
can't
is.
go deeper in 20 ETH.
good lord.
If you go deeper in 20 ETH, you're getting cut in half. You're going to 10.
200 ETH, man. Jesus Christ.
Whoa, millions in 2021. That's what those were going for.
I'll buy it when Milady's flip it.
I think
The ladies are gonna flip punks, and Max is gonna be mad he didn't buy one when we told him to.
I know he is.
Millennials-
He missed the airdrop, man.
Hold on. Go Macy's.
What is this garbage?
Not that.
Pull up
crap,
Macy's
whatever the-
stock, Tucker.
Macy's.
Not Macy's.
No, I know. Let's try this one. Yeah. Wow, 5 ETH.
Ooh.
Mint was what?
Is
6,
this
5.5?
On a
Did it
draw.
really go to
draw-
118?
It
dude.
yeah, like the hype for it initially was pretty insane.
Yeah, they're below mint, right? Or maybe that's not mint.
No, not mint. So those were free to all the Basie holders, weren't they?
So, somewhere. Yeah.
yeah,
somewhere.
yeah,
Somewhere.
yeah.
That's right. I forgot about that. But the rest,
Yep.
they was like a free, not a free mint, but it was a public mint. So it was like the first time that you could get access to the BAYC mind share if you were the public. I do remember that. Those were the ugliest profile pictures ever, man. Good Lord.
But if you were to draw a line at an angle down, arguably you'd probably be a little bit below that. Actually, not gonna lie. No, not there. I meant like from the beginning.
From the beginning
into that wick. Yeah.
I just feel like if you're spending
you got
money,
a little bit of room.
If you're spending money on this ecosystem, wouldn't it just make more sense to buy a BAYC or Ape tokens versus Mutant Apes?
I don't know about Ape tokens because of all the Ape token farming and manipulation that's going on it right now. But like that, an Ape for sure, I would say would, in my perspective, hold more value in this type of environment.
That would make sense.
Yeah, it's just Ape token, man. Like, and it's difficult because they're trying to create. I do want to point out too, and I think a lot of people discuss this. They do have like a governance, right, where you can vote with one token from your wallet. But I guess the untold truth is with that too is like if you're a whale, you got 1,000 wallets, you can make 1,000 votes. And not all the public is hip to that's a thing, right? So like these governances can be very much controlled by whales. You really don't have a say in it if you're voting with one or two tokens. I would just say that.
Baby. DeFi, baby.
Yep. And a lot of people they just don't recognize that kind of stuff though, man. They're not hip to understanding that you really don't have a say in these type of environments unless you got some fat pockets and you're willing to really kind of put up or shut up, one of the two.
That looks interesting, Tucker.
50% is a big level. Definitely.
You guys see CZ just tweeted out 4?
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he did. Literally
No
just
way.
4.
What's going on now? What is he upset about?
I don't know, man.
It's like every time he's upset, he tweets out 4.
I don't know, man.
Somebody's picking on him or something.
He just tweeted out 4 with no context, and I do remember I think I've stated it on this show, but I've talked about how there was a guy. He's one of the best traders on CT. He said that August is not a good month for CZ as far as like lunar cycles go. So maybe that DOJ charge is coming this month. We have a suggestion to look at Litecoin because I think it's the halving today.
It just happened, yeah.
Litecoin halving always signifies the top.
Yep.
That's
it
what
happened a few days before. Or maybe
Litecoin's funny because the OI is sky high on it. So I'm not touching it, man.
It's gonna nuke. It's gonna nuke, man.
Did it send yesterday? Or did it?
No, it always puts in the top like a month before the halving.
Yeah, they like people have this misnomer that the halving is gonna improve price on. No, it really just wrecks it.
I mean, it really is a buy the rumor, sell the news almost thing. Like, yeah. I mean, I don't hold any Litecoin, but
I hate to be that guy to like give you guys all the real alpha that nobody talks about, but like I'm not. Look, everybody else is gonna tell you BS in this space, man. I'm gonna keep it real. And I'm not talking about the panel here. Obviously, they know, but like I'm just keeping it real with our audience. Like these things tend to be more predatory than they do, positive or price action wise.
We don't have a lot of liquidity in the market. Something like the Litecoin halving to me is kind of bait to get people really long. You can kind of see that through the repeated drives above resistance that immediately deviated. It looks kind of like distribution now in hindsight, but in a bull market, I have to imagine the Litecoin halving would have done very, very well.
Yeah. In a bull market, everything does well, right? They come out tomorrow and they say, "Hey, Litecoin got hacked," and everybody's buying it back up. This is how it works in the bull market. So it's honestly ridiculous.
Gosh, CZ. What do I have to look forward to over the next week? What do I get to look forward to? What do we owe the pleasure? Who do we owe the pleasure?
Yeah, for real.
Something's going on with him, man. Like if whenever he tweets 4, I always think like somebody's bullying him.
Whenever
What
he
is-
tweets 4,
What
it's
does BNB
completely
look like?
Huh?
What does BNB look like? Because if it looks bad, then 4.
Well, arguably,
Talk about a bear flag, Will. I mean, come on now.
That does look.
yeah, no, I mean, look, I agree, yeah, 100%. But how deep does that drive? That's the other question. The thing is that I would say too, Tucker. Arguably, if you zoom out, put that on a weekly and zoom out, you'll see a clear floor, clear as day.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I have the 220 marked out because that's like whatever it was, somebody's liquidation or some shit.
I think you could recapture that wick low. You go deeper than that, man. I would look for a bull diff.
No, bro,
100%.
you lose 220, it's over.
I know it seems like that, man. I'm telling you, look, I would look for I'm not telling you it's not over.
This is just air. This is just air,
I thought the same thing, bro. But he's gonna keep buying. The man has infinite money. I'm telling you, he prints money from stable coins that have no liquidity backing. He just basically came out with BUSD, dropped it on the market, no backing, utilized it to pump up the price of BNB and hold up the support, and then dropped BUSD basically on the market.
BNB
Because BackG backed out of backing it. So what's backing it?
There.
Right?
Yeah. No, he's definitely selling spot Bitcoin to prop up BNB. That's just a known fact right now. So this is BNB.
You're getting like a cross conversion of Bitcoin should have already broken out by now, but BNB is suppressing because he's got to support BNB.
Man.
But look at that bounce, man. It's perfect. It's a perfect area to bounce. Like that bear flag could play, but I think it plays back to trend or maybe to the bottom of the Zwicks.
No, yeah, this is the Bitcoin pair right here.
Yeah, that's arguably as low as I could see that going. And the question is, at the end of the day, is that BNB losing value or Bitcoin just creating more value, right? Does Bitcoin break out against BNB or does BNB actually break down against Bitcoin?
I think Bitcoin's going to break out against everything.
That's what I'm saying. That's where I think that plays.
Like as in dominance up.
Yep. Well, that's where that will play. Exactly what you have there. Because if BNB doesn't make the same move that BTC does or better, then that will draw down, right? If BNB is basically losing upside to Bitcoin, then that will draw down.
I'm saying Bitcoin dominance breaks out. I'm not saying BTC USD breaks out.
But that's what Bitcoin dominance is saying. Bitcoin dominance is saying that Bitcoin is driving harder than every other asset.
Yeah, but
and has more liquidity.
Breaks out, it could just be losing less than alts.
That too. Yes, I've always entertained that too. If downside is in the books for the entire market, Bitcoin could just see less drawdown than the rest of the market. And in reality, I would think that would be the more likely scenario, right? The more likely scenario would be drawdown, and it would be Bitcoin sees less drawdown, which is normal, and everything else gets wrecked.
Yeah, so so far this year, every Bitcoin dominance rally has been on a price pump, right? We haven't seen a dump really we haven't seen a dump like at all really, but breakout, right? Obviously that doesn't have to happen though. Right. Big breakdown.
Benjamin Hadjid, I don't want to butcher his last name. Benjamin said he won his license to operate in Dubai.
Oh, that's cool.
He wants. Oh,
I mean, Evan, I won't lie, bro. Like, that's not a bad idea. I set low positions all the time. It just, does it happen or does it not happen? There's always going to be these events where you get a wick into a liquidity zone that takes out all the longs before a market move.
I think a few of these alts, there's like kind of some incentive to play stink bids. I more so Curve, I think, than BNB, right? Because GCR, he put some bids at 7 to 10 cents on Curve. If the founder gets liquidated, it's like, yes, you can catch that knife and you can catch a value, but at what valuation are you comfortable holding Curve risk that could literally go to zero? If he does get liquidated, I think that's a very real question to be asking yourself. Like, it is essentially an admission that the tokens are worthless. I don't really know why that is. That shouldn't necessarily be that confusing of a point, because if the OTC buyers were not playing the backstop, Michael would already be liquidated. The tokens would already be worth below 10 cents. So how do you value Curve tokens right now if you're an over-the-counter buyer and you have this supply that was previously locked and now it's not, it's in your hands, right? Like, okay, I bought this CRV for 40 cents. I personally don't really understand why you would want to hold CRV risk at 40 cents at this point, given that it's probably not going to go up too much higher from here anyway. But if the backstop is to be removed, what is the value of the token?
I think the other thing is too, to kind of add to what you're saying, is like, what is the point of marrying a trade, right? Why do people want to marry a trade? Like, there are plenty of protocols that offer the same, if not better, seat than CRV on rates, right? And if CRV is at risk, why not reallocate elsewhere, right? And I think that's the thing that a lot of retail gets caught up in. They're like, oh no, CRV is going to be fine, yada yada. Why even speculate it? It's the same thing in the stock market. When I see people sit there and talk about a company doing exponentially bad, and they know it's going to get wrecked, but they don't want to admit it. But there's an equal company right across the street that they can put their money into that's doing just fine and has no BS going on, right? But they don't want to move their capital. They just pretend like it's so difficult. And I just want to throw that out there because, like, I see this all the time. I see this all the time with this market. It's just people are like, oh no, it's gonna be good. I'm fine. And then the same thing happened with Luna. A lot of people were telling me, like, when it was dropping, I was like, this thing's going to zero. And this wasn't before. Like, believe me, there was a point where I thought Luna was gonna drop, and then it wasn't gonna go to zero. But I stayed in my short, right? But at the same time, you have to be able to identify and like, all right, yeah, this thing's actually got potential to go to zero, right? And when Luna started hitting $15, $10 in a matter of weeks, I was like, yeah, it's going to freaking zero. But I was able to identify the trend well ahead of time. Now, does that make me some kind of master trader? No, it just means I was able to identify it. But being able to identify it and act on it are two different things. And I acted on it too, right? A lot of people just have a hard time acting, even though they're able to identify risk, right? And you also have to identify your risk appetite, which a lot of people miss out on too. And risk appetite's a real thing. If your risk adherent was, you were fine with it when it was doing well, then right now it's not within your risk parameters, right? It's just not. So these are things you have to keep in mind when you're looking at a lot of this stuff.
I saw it.
Really evaluate that.
It's appreciated, Max.
I agree.
Man,
The people would probably, if they wanted to trade some of these events that have kind of like major implications for the valuations of specific assets, they'd be better off staying off Twitter, because it's just a bunch of drama and it's going to distract you from what your eyes are telling you is on the chart.
Yep.
Let's pull up
generators.
CRV now that we're talking about it. Let's pull up CRV.
CRV.
Yeah, let's pull up CRV and then we can probably start to wrap things up because we've been going for about an hour and 10
They're
minutes.
bidding the Dow. Risk off profile, fellas. Bid the Dow.
Yeah, but the Dow has been a known trade. We talked about it, right? It was an easy bull, inverse head and shoulders that played out to a T. And I think the Dow is going to continue to bid.
Man, it doesn't look good in equity land or in bond land. There's CRV for you.
I wonder what happens to these if you are, backstopping CRV and all of a sudden you're a VC who has a bit more of a crunch on available liquidity. What happens? I don't know. I think I do know, but
I think
No, I think you should just say it. That's what I think.
No, I think we know what would happen at that point if the funds that are backstopping this asset
Would this happen?
Otherwise be liquidated as we speak. If they have to pull liquidity from something like that, to backstop any other positions, then I mean, I think the point is that Curved is just walking such a fine line here. Like, Curve the protocol will be fine. Michael's position, it's looking rough in my opinion.
I think they work hand in hand, man. I think you're on point, but I think Curve the protocol takes a big freaking hit from this.
Well, yeah, but
plays,
you don't want
right?
you don't want the whole protocol to like zero out, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think they'll get pretty close if that liquidation happens, and that's very. I can't say it more, man. It's very messed up that he would even attempt to do something.
What's
like
his
that,
what's his liquidation right now?
Actually disgusting.
38 cents. You want to know what, Will, though? It's DeFi working is exactly as intended, though, for better or worse. And now it's biting him in the butt.
So, man, I would look, if you're going to buy a house and you're going to get a loan from the bank, hey, if you're looking for an investment position, I think, these are the type of environments. Yeah, you could speculate that, right? You could speculate that. But to risk your business in the way that he has is absolutely disgusting. It's honestly, like, I have no other words for it.
Well, the implications would be very, very wide reaching, if they can't get the situation resolved. Then, yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's entirely up to the over-the-counter buyers to not sell the Curve tokens that were previously illiquid that are now liquid. If anybody blinks, in my opinion, it's going to be a race for the exit. So,
doesn't his lick move up every day?
I think so.
Yeah, something like that. It's actually,
unless they can incentivize more and more LPs to lower the interest rate, because like the pool will have less.
Here's what I think he's doing though. I think he's trying to force their hand, right, into reducing. Because if you think about it, he's done this in a way that where his liquidation will wreck the entire pool, right? And so if these people want to hold their positions, they basically have to take less. That's what they have to do. They have to be like, all right, we'll agree to lower the interest, because they don't have any other position. He's backed them into a corner, forcing their hand, essentially. Either this protocol gets wrecked, which you're invested in, or you allow us to lower the interest.
Well, you're seeing where's that tweet you sent with the I'm trying to find it, with the picture of it's like a Mexican standoff.
Oh, I might have sent it in the I definitely sent it in the Discord, but
at the same
so his OTC counterparties have to violate the agreement, and then they'll nuke their freshly acquired discounted tokens so they can.
Literally, the only thing keeping Curve out of liquidation right now is the word of the over-the-counter buyers. Like, can you really trust the word of crypto VCs? Did you not just see the on-chain season that we just had, where if you bought a shitcoin during on-chain season, you saw people sell with like zero conviction? How many times? And I mean, if anybody blinks, right? You think these guys aren't going to ditch that bag in a heartbeat? I don't know. It's very precarious.
Yeah. It's almost like everybody's holding, or at least all the bigger players are all holding a bag of CRV, and there's 10 of them, and any one of those 10 could liquidate and screw the whole pool, and they know that,
If one
right?
goes, they're all going to liquidate, man. They're all going to
But
liquidate.
that's it's going to cause a cascade because everybody's going to be, chasing to the bottom, trying to get out the door.
It does feel like a
And-
game of hot potato right now, right?
Yes.
Where like nobody wants to get stuck with the flaming ball of bad debt. You're already seeing some protocols adopt the same requirements now for borrowing and depositing Curve as Frax, which was the one that has the interest that continually increases. So nobody wants to get stuck with that bad debt, man. I don't think it's over, but it would obviously be very, very devastating to DeFi if Curve nuked. So from that standpoint, I hope it doesn't happen. But if you're irresponsible in markets, you don't manage your risk, the markets will manage it for you. That simple.
I kind of hope it does happen, if I'm being honest. We need a rinsing. We need a cleansing.
Look,
I
we
hope
all
it
agree
happens
on
for
it.
I hope it happens for the idea of personal responsibility, but I hope it doesn't happen because I don't know what's under the floorboards.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair. That's fair.
We all agree that the market needs a good rinsing. Like I don't think that's ever not been the consensus, and that's just due to the pure degeneracy. I mean, you got people sending what 1.5 mil to Pauly. Like, come on, man.
Dude, that guy is a clown, man.
He is a clown. I saw a tweet yesterday, and I'll wrap up right after this. But I saw a tweet yesterday where they were talking about if you could short the stuff, if everybody had a very liquid perp on their social, like a social index, who would you short first? The first person I thought of was Pauly.
Or
Or Ben.E. Either one.
Or Ben, yeah. Or Ben.
Either one.
They run in the same crowd, man. I mean, geez. Those NFT guys. They're having a tough time already though, so I'll stop.
Are they? Are they?
You saw the BAYC chart. They're having a tough time, man. They're having a tough time. But,
If you bought a BAYC at a million cap, yeah, you're having a really hard time.
Snorlax, what do you think about this fractal?
I don't even know what to say. I don't even know.
Just overlay the same ones.
I don't even want to know. I don't even want to know what the RSI
dream right there.
Like that.
That's what that is.
But we actually did get to 30 likes, guys. So I wanted to shout out the audience. Great work. I hope you enjoyed the content. We ran the range highs. We got to our goal. We appreciate y'all so much for tuning in today and being a part of this stream with us. We do have a Spaces today later, Tucker, right? Yes, we do. We have a bull versus bear Spaces today for market talk at 2:15 or 4:15 Eastern. Sorry, I'm on a different time zone than y'all, but we do have a space later today, so make sure to tune in for that content if you're a Giga Chad. Otherwise, we will see you at the closing bell stream. Once again, we appreciate y'all's support. We appreciate you so much for tuning in. If you really enjoyed the content and want a little bit more access to our trading and our view on the market, we do have some premium content linked in the description of the YouTube, as well as the link tree of our Twitter bio. But that's all from us, guys. We hope you enjoyed the show. We should be getting Max back tomorrow, but even I say that he was very present and active in the chat anyway. So he's always lurking, guys. I'm sure he's still in the stream right now. So shout out Max if you're still here. But yeah, no, we will be back tomorrow. And thanks again, guys. Have a great day.
See you, boys.